Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I'm finally getting out the house, man. It was like pulling teeth out of my mouth trying to get out of the house today. I did not have any desire to leave the house, but I also know that I've been in there for a day already, and I'm not particularly depressed or anything, so it just got to move. I know what the problem is. I'll tell you the truth. I know exactly what it is. I've been pushing myself with the suitcase squats. I've put significantly more weight in there, and by the time I'm done doing that workout, I've exhausted myself of any energy, and it's harder to bring yourself to move around when that's the case. I don't particularly need anything at the store, and I'm down to 3 free rides left, even though we're now at the 22nd, so it's not too far away from when it's going to be replenished. So that was, enough of an excuse to keep me in the house yesterday. Pretty much I stayed in, I slept, my body was exhausted, my chest was sore from all the push-ups and all the lifting I've been doing. So I've just been asking my old body to do too much in the house, and as a result I've been foregoing walking down the street and doing all the stuff that I normally do. But 2 days in a row is too much. I ain't comfortable with my body sitting in the house sleeping today. I didn't want to do that, so just had to push it. And I'm glad I did. It's a great day out here. The weather's fantastic. I don't think it's no more than 78, something like that. And yeah, man, had a pretty good morning, all things considered. I did some art. That was another thing. I did a lot of art pieces over the last 2 days, and in the house I did maybe 13 yesterday or something like that. Did about 7 this morning. The batch I did yesterday was good. Today I didn't really have it, to be honest with you, but been in that vibe and felt great about it. So it's just trying to force myself to be consistent when I really don't feel the energy is there. Reminding myself that the energy comes from the walk itself. You don't get energy from laying down. And so that's what I'm doing, getting out. It's already 2:15, something like that, much later than usual. But I figured it would probably be best to just force it anyway. But I've been doing pretty good. That's the thing about it. I'm not in a bad mood. My body's moving as if I'm depressed. I feel no depression. I am very happy. I feel great. I'm not antisocial. I have been good. But the body wants to lay. And I'm just... That problem started happening until I put all that weight in that suitcase and started doing my rotations in that way. And then, of course, more push-ups have been added too. I'm up to 145 push-ups a set. So, I've been ramping up a lot of my lifting, and the body wants to rest so they can replenish the what's been put on. So it's like, I got to get some rest, but at the same time, I got to also get some work in. So it has to be a good balance of both. And I had started veering into a space where more rest would get more rest. So that's not what I need. But anyway, man, anybody heard of Red Onion? Red Onion, I guess it's a prison. I'm not sure exactly where it is, but these prisoners self-immolated. There's about 12 black men that set their arms and legs on fire trying to raise awareness for the treatment of that prison. And of course, naturally, situations like this you would think get national media, but our Zionist national media is nowhere to be found. It's like, we get it when it's time to suppress genocide. You guys are very intentional on killing children and all of that in Gaza, so obviously you're not going to do right in regards to that. But when it comes to stuff like this, like, what's your interest in that? What's your interest in silencing prisons that are got people setting themselves on fire? Like, don't you think that's something we want to know? I don't think that hurts your overall goal to annihilate the Palestinian people. So that's really what comes to mind when I think of the media at this point. They're agents of genocide, and that's the lens that I view it from here on out. It ain't nothing, no two ways about it. Any low level behavior out of that media I just equate to their interest in slaughtering Palestinian people at absolute will and getting away with it and wanting us to align with it. So it's like, what does this have to do with your interest? What do you have? Are you all doing this to these prisoners that make them feel like this is necessary to raise awareness for the poor treatment? The poor treatment is so bad that you had a guy in there that, from what I understand, had went on a food strike, a hunger strike for 71 days. Like, what the hell are y'all doing to them people in there? So yeah, Red Onion. We all need to become familiar with Red Onion. Why it was so necessary that these men decided that they needed to burn themselves to raise awareness for it, and why that wasn't honored in a sense to raise that awareness. Just like Aaron Bushnell set himself on fire and the media didn't want to talk about it to raise awareness for the Gaza genocide. You know, so, you know, I mean, we're going to talk about stuff like that. I don't know much about it, but I'm certainly going to give y'all something to Google. Red Onion. You know what I mean? That's how I feel. Everything they don't want to talk about obviously holds a lot of value. If it didn't hold a lot of value to us knowing about it, they wouldn't try to silence it. So that is something to know. What else is going on, man? Netanyahu, the International Court of Justice finally issued a warrant for Netanyahu and Gallant. And one country, some random country, said they're willing to arrest Netanyahu. I don't know, man. If Netanyahu's last name was Jenkins, he'd already be a dead man. You feel me? If his last name was Combs, you wouldn't hear the end of it. It's just, it's bullshit. My patience for the racism of this controlling class is run its course, to be honest with you. It's run its course. And I don't doubt that there are plenty of people of color who are doing awful things that need to be shamed for it. And some of them are being shamed for it. I'm not one of those people to say all black people are good, all white people are bad, or some weird stuff like that. There's stuff going on that black people are doing that are deplorable, man. You know, stuff going on in our neighborhood, stuff going on in different countries that I know of black people have done that, you know, I can't get behind in no kind of way. So it's not like I'm sitting here saying that that's the only conversation to be had. But to talk about just allowing for people who are not black to get away with the same goofiness that we're getting on black people for, or worse goofiness, as if we're not aware that there's a double standard there, I think it's a conversation to be had there. You know, for all the sicko stuff that we're talking about in regards to Sean Combs and, you know, Robert Kelly. There's a white dude doing worse stuff somewhere. You know what I'm saying? A Zionist somewhere doing the same thing that nobody's talking about. With probably way more money than both of those people have combined. You know what I mean? Sicko billionaires victimizing children for their own intentions, hurting women, slapping people around, brutalizing men, taking people's manhood. There's all types of stuff going on that we know is out there that they're not interested in making a full docu-series about. You know what I'm saying? Or if they do make a docu-series about it, they don't promote that docu-series. It's racism. Let's just call it what it is, man. It ain't deeper than that. It's the same racism that's always plagued our world. And it's just the descendants of the same people who were engaging in that bullcrap doing it now. Ain't nothing changed, man. Nothing. And so for me as a black person, I just want to raise my voice to say that I don't particularly appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? I think that's an understatement, obviously. But it's rather ridiculous and worth talking about. And it would be great if people who are not black would be as appalled as we are about it. So that's what I will say. It's appalling. I don't care what color a person is or what race they're from or race they are or what religion they support or what have you. If you're doing weird sicko stuff, you need to be treated like the same way the black dude is for doing weird sicko stuff. If we're going to scream on the mountaintop that a black guy's a sicko, scream on the mountaintop that everybody else is a damn sicko if that's what they are. But don't act like we're the only ones out here with representatives poorly going about wearing our skin. You know, because a lot of y'all want to act like it's only us at this point that have the bad guys in our race. And we know damn well that a lot of these practices are less prevalent with us and more prevalent with others. Let's just be honest. You'll find a lot more sickos over there than you are over here. I'll tell you that. So that's one thing that just needs to be said, man. I've been fortunate enough to be raised in the West Coast, California. I deal with a lot of different people in my lifetime of different races. So I know how normal it is that we walk amongst one another. A lot of people are from places where there ain't a lot of people from in different cultures within those spaces. And I mean, it's weird to walk past somebody that doesn't look like you or ain't from your race or whatever in certain places. That ain't where I'm from. So I have a point of view that I wish the rest of the world could have. And I know that I only have that point of view because of everything that led up to this place being what it is. I've given some thought about that over the last couple of days. I don't even know if it's thought or meditation or what. But it came to me as I was sitting up here frustrated about the colonial project that is Israel and how they are going only getting away with that treatment because of the fact that a lot of people have seen this work here. This colonial project has worked. And that, you know, there hasn't been much change as it pertains to the overall sentiment that we will allow people to suffer for the sake of our happiness in this place. Or we will allow people to suffer for the sake of building what it is that we think is worthy of being built so that we can have the experiences that ultimately this place provides. And that we should just allow it to happen over there because look how much we've benefited from over here. I had a real problem with that over the last couple of days as I've been meditating. And, you know, I guess the energy that came my way is God can do a lot with what is. And a lot of bad things happen, and then God can go ahead and maneuver through the rubble, the picked up pieces or whatever. He can do a lot with whatever. So it wasn't required that the Lord created blessings from peaceful spaces, nor is it required that those blessings become from difficult and impossible and very unpeaceful spaces either. He can do good with good, he can do good with bad. That's what came to mind. We don't need to hate what we've built because of the evil that was done in building it. There is balance to be found. There's debts to be paid. And there's evolving within the process so that more people don't have to suffer for it to continue to be built. And maybe some people need to change around here in a lot of different ways that can make us less of a problem for the rest of the world and less guilty of what it is we are. But that doesn't necessarily mean that because it was built in sin that it needs to be destroyed. That's what came to mind in meditation. That's what came to mind as I'm sitting around looking at all of this saying none of this is fair. None of this is righteous. A lot of this was built on crimes. A lot of those crimes beget more crimes. People thinking they can do this elsewhere because it worked here type stuff. That's the problem. And it's the same problem that's going to be going forward if we allow that to continue. It's that other people are going to think, well, look how they got away with it in Israel. Look how they got away with it in America. Of course we can do this in a third place or wherever, however that goes. And our complicity is providing an example that this should and could be done many times over. And that the suffering of more generations of people in the future are imminent because of our complicity and because of the complicity of the people who walked the earth when this was being done in order to build what it is that we see today as America. That racism works, that capitalism works, that killing children works, abandoning people and treating them horribly if they don't bend over and allow for us to take whatever it is we want to take from them. That energy, lying on the character of indigenous peoples of lands we want, that works. Like, that's what we're telling tomorrow's people, that this works. And I have a real problem with it. Because I'm a descendant of many indigenous people that had a lot stolen from them by pale people. You understand what I'm saying? Many. And so for me, it's like that works. Who does it work for? Me today, walking amongst all of this with responsibilities to continue to uphold it because I'm from it? Am I not betraying those ancestors, Lord? That's what I pray and say. Am I not betraying my ancestors for walking amongst these people like I'm cool with this shit? When I know what, and it's on the forefront of my mind, what happened here, what they've done to people, how they've coerced us into believing that culturally we should be fine with what happened to these people that came before us, who walked the earth native to a land and ultimately had it taken from them by illegals, aliens, real ones, not the ones that they are now trying to keep out of the land after stealing it. Am I not betraying my ancestors? Should they not hate my guts for walking amongst those who victimized them and stole from them, and be cool with it and break bread with them and speak their language and all different types of stuff that I just was coerced into based on my birth being here? Like, my soul is not, it don't sit right with my spirit. My entire life, it's always been an unspoken truth in the back of my mind that I should not be coinciding or paying into or pushing forward any of the culture that ultimately we agree with because of the suffering that was upheld toward my ancestors and their neighbors in order for this to actually exist. And God say in his own way to me, you don't have to tear it down because a lot of good have been done here, including that of yourself. You are the good here that proves that this ain't all bad. And that you have that conscience in you as you from this place, as you are a product of this place, proves not only to yourself but to the God that created you that this place don't have to be destroyed in order for his word to be here. In order for his intentions to be amongst this place and that good things can grow from this place. You are living proof of that. It's what essentially the God was trying to express to me in my meditation or in my prayer or whatever those thoughts were. That we don't have to destroy this place because there is good here and that good is in myself. That they didn't in fact erase all of the indigenous people because I stand. In whatever form I may be presenting to you. That they didn't effectively destroy all the indigenous people because we're still here. In our own way. Maybe not lost in our culture. Maybe hybrids of different peoples, but still that of the blood is still running through my veins. Are the same people who prayed prayers that this place would be inhabited by them. That they would keep their land. In some strange way, I'm living proof of their dreams still being active because I still stand here. Despite this place being taken over by the colonial forces of evil. That the Native American blood still lives in this place, still prays in this place, still eats food here, breaks bread here. I am here. So I don't have to hate this place. Because I'm a product of why hatred isn't necessarily the only thing you're going to find here. And that my interest in seeing other people not suffer the ills of my ancestors, the sufferings of my ancestors, is proof that good can be found in dark places. I struggle with that. I don't put myself on such a pedestal. I think that a lot of what's wrong with me has to do with me being raised with the mentality that this place provides, and that I have some of the colonizer rolling through my veins too. That I too am colonizer in a sense. When you look at my ancestry, you're gonna find some of them. I have their bone structure. I am one of them too. And so I war with that. While a lot of people, I don't think about those things in that way. I war with it every day in my own way. Sometimes it's kept me in the house. It's kept me from involving myself in certain situations where I would otherwise be probably a help to others. I stay away because I know somewhere that the same demons that are in the colonizers in me as their descendant in black skin. So for me, I don't find myself very comfortable with that. I can only imagine how it would be if I were raised by somebody else and still had these thoughts in me, because my mother protected me from some of my worst enemies in terms of my own self, some of my worst demons. She raised me to strive toward being fair, toward wanting to be a better person on the inside, when in the dark, when no one's watching, and not being comfortable with that, providing that sense of conscience. Because if I didn't have that, no telling what type of person I would be. I don't know. And that she was raised in this place is another form of the understanding that good can be found here. That we could be good even though a lot of bad took place here. And that the next generation is hope of the same. Problem is, in understanding and beholding that truth and accepting that as the truth, it makes me no more comfortable with what it is that I'm seeing in my phone in regards to genocide. That good can come from the birth of greater Israel in that same fashion is not something I'm quite ready to accept or run with or turn a blind eye away from those sufferings which are taking place today. Though 1,000 years from now, great things could take place if the colonial project is complete. No different than I would tell y'all that if I were walking the earth in the 1600s and 1500s when they were trying to steal this, would I have been comfortable with ultimately the truth about what would come in 2024 when I walked the earth as a grown man? I would not. Why? Because I'm a firm believer, is what I said in the beginning, which is that God can do good with good and he can do good with evil. He can do good with suffering and he can do good with peace, which means that peace deserves a chance. And people should not have to suffer just because of a demonic force wants to create suffering in order for it to fulfill its intentions upon the earth. And that we've never seen a society of Western civilization where that suffering was not manifested first as a foundation from which that colonial project can be built. Does not mean that that project can't be built without that suffering. There's so many people who want to believe that it can't be built without the suffering, so that they don't have a responsibility to stopping what it is that ultimately is not necessary in regards to this situation that's being done in this time. There was always a way for colonizers to build what they've built through agreements and not bloodshed. It was never essential. It was that for which was evil in them and paranoid in them and devious in them and psychotic within them that made it so that they believed that it was necessary to kill rather than to work with people and negotiate. Indigenous people often came with their hands out welcoming the colonizer. And the colonizer cut those hands off and spit in those people's faces, not because it was necessary, but because they were evil and racist. That's literally it. And I will not turn a blind eye to that just because we've built something here that probably should stand in this country. And if someone's trying to do the same thing somewhere else, I'm not going to sit back and say, well, it's just how it's done, like a lot of us are doing. This is just the only way it's going to be done. The savages are going to be savages, so we have to bring forth civilization. The only way to do that is to tame them. A psychopath that wanted to kill people, told people who were stupid and couldn't think for themselves that, so he could feast on the blood of the innocent. That is exactly what that was. They were listening to a psychopath with a voice, and he came to them with a solution that that involved following that path, which was a choice. It was not necessary that he did that. It was never necessary that he did that. His bloodthirst had nothing to do with what could have been possible. Without it, everything that has been built could have been built alongside the people who were still here. We could have upheld their culture. We could have upheld our own. There would have been some battles, but none of these genocides were ever necessary. Lying about the history was never necessary. A lot of that was just demonic rituals done by demonic forces of evil. That was it. And just like I believe that we didn't necessarily need everything to be peaceful in order for the Lord to create good things here, so do I believe that none of that was necessary in order for us to build what it is ultimately we're seeing here. Hold the resentment is what I would have said to them. We don't need to manifest resentment. You could take what you've earned and break bread with the people who are there. Share. Coexist. At least try to. Learn what they had to learn. Teach what you had to teach. And make both of y'all better. But you refuse to, colonizer. You refuse to. Just like you refuse to now. In the Middle East. That get down or lay down was the only way you were going to get down. That was the only way you were going to be at peace. Is that others standing beneath your feet. There was contingencies to what it is that you were building. It was that people be gone and the few who were left behind worship you. That was the contingencies to the process. And that they be sacrifices to you as a human God in your mind. That's what these genocides actually were. Human sacrifices. If you want to know the truth, psychotic, demonic human sacrifices is what each and every one of these colonial projects demanded. That's why they killed all the indigenous people. It wasn't because they couldn't negotiate with them. It wasn't because they couldn't find themselves at peace with those people. It was because they had to give a sacrifice to the devil himself in order to assure that they controlled what they had in their minds to what they believed in, which were lies. Which were lies. And it is still a lie. The Nakba was never necessary. Today's genocide, not necessary. And you control all that you control. Why do you need to kill? Help me understand how you can control the media in the Western land, media in the UK, media in various places all over the world, Europe. You control the governments in the US. You control all of this. And you can't displace people without killing them? As horrible enough as displacement is. You find solutions to control our entire government far away from the land you're in. But you can't find a less lethal way to colonize the land in 2024 than to go about vicious slaughtering and the smearing of the character of the people you're killing, that's a choice. It's a choice. That's not required. And so as I walk down the street struggling with the concept that this place shouldn't be destroyed based on the suffering that caused its inception, I have even more hard time dealing with the idea that I'm supposed to believe that it was ever necessary for them to do that anywhere. It was never necessary for them to do that. And that people be in this place and continue to work for free, more or less, though they're being paid, not enough to make any sense in a lot of cases. The imbalance of things, creating a system for which power determines the wealth of a life, and status and wealth determines the value of a person. And I'm supposed to just keep on keeping on in regards to this, striving to get to the top of it, standing on the backs of others so that it can function on my back too. God did not create me to be at peace with that. God did not create me to believe lies like that. I'm not wired to do that. I don't care how many people alive today are wired to do that. I am not. I want people to understand something about me as I walk this earth and walk down this street right now in real time. I don't believe in genocide. I don't believe in responding in kind when it's done to you. I believe in finding ways of expanding life with nuance and perspectives being fully understood and listened to. And being pro-life, I can leave room for the necessary need for someone to save their life by aborting a child. A 9-year-old who was raped by her father should not have to give birth to a child that is going to be sick, risking their lives themselves, dying at 9 years old in a pregnancy that should not be necessary with what it is that we have. Nor do I believe as using abortion as a genocidal tool to destroy peoples. There is balance to be found and nuance to understand. Perspectives to listen to so that you can support what you want to support while still not letting awful things happen in the presence of what you support. Is called balance. I am pro-life. I want to see people who can have children have those children. But there are circumstances and perspectives and scenarios that would give it so that it's fine for me to support someone having an abortion. If it's going to save their life so that they can have more kids in the future potentially. If it's going to protect them from a lifetime of bad parenting because they're not mentally in a space from which to do it. If they were raped by someone, they shouldn't have to have that person's child. That doesn't mean I don't want to see people have children. It just means that within that scenario, within that circumstance, I don't feel like I'm qualified within my grandiose idea that life should be always had to really understand the power of what it is that they're going through and the necessary need for the tool that is available to them. And that I have those thoughts in my head makes me strange in certain circles because I seek balance instead of totalitarian, whatever the word would be. Just dictatorship, either or stupidity type thinking. Like you have no idea a concept of nuance. Like you have no idea a concept of newfound unprecedented sufferings for which you cannot understand from within your perspective. I don't know what it feels like to be that little girl. So how can I be in a position to tell her what's necessary for her life? Nor should I listen to anybody else who thinks so simplistically as to think that they have that understanding in their head just because they have the ability to speak. I don't know what she's been through. I don't know what it feels like to be that person. So why am I making decisions for that person? I don't know the first thing about the wisdom that would allow for them to survive. I don't have to walk in their shoes. Why do I get to make decisions for them? And that we have people that are walking around here intelligent, calling themselves intelligent, moving forward with that type of callousness. Well, that's more of the same of what we've been talking about. How necessary is it to genocide a place in order to colonize it? How necessary is it? It's not necessary at all. But if you listen to an idiot that wants you to think it is, and you're not able to put two and two together for your own damn self, then you're going to run with that. Just like a lot of people who have these ideas that are found in examples like this. There's a problem with a lot of people. They listen to other people, and then they form their opinions based on those other people's ideas. They ain't do no thinking for themselves. They're not qualified to make decisions for everybody else. They don't even have the broad enough scope to do so. But they're the loudest ones. They don't respect the first thing about suffering, but they want to affect how other people are able to have tools within their own suffering that could either help them or hurt them. You don't know the first thing about what that person is going through. You don't respect even the most basic amounts of suffering. If you did, you would know that there's levels to it. And you want to make decisions for others because your granddaddy told you such and such and such in your religion? You're an idiot. You don't think for yourself. You're following old rules and don't even realize they need to be updated for new times. And I'm supposed to follow you? The devil loves an idiot, man. An idiot that can't think for himself. He can always push forth ways to make people suffer off of the intentions of morons. Off the intentions of callous, selfish, non-thinking individuals, man. He will always be able to push through some bull crap. I guarantee it. Normalize nuance, man. Normalize scenarios. Listen to people's perspectives and finding a way to work with them rather than against them just because you have a certain feeling about how things should go based on what you were taught by somebody that you didn't even vet. Somebody that you didn't even know that well. In a lot of cases, you knew what they presented to you, but you didn't know what they did in the dark. You didn't know what they were doing in their private life. And you're following ideals that may have been aligned with keeping those secrets in-house at night. They were only telling you that stupid stuff because they were trying to hide certain things that they were doing. And this is a way for them to be able to get away with it by having your stupid behind believing that stupid stuff and passing it forward to other stupid people. They were getting their rocks off on things, watching people suffer. That's why you believe what you believe, because they taught that to the moron that taught you that. Think for yourself. Listen to people who know how to think for themselves. Don't just buy everything just because it's in a book. A book could have you looking crazy out here. Anybody can write something in a book. Do the math. What do you see? Listen to somebody who's been around some things that you haven't seen. Hear the testimony. Apply it to your rationalization. Critical thinking. Otherwise, we're just a bunch of morons making decisions for people that we don't know. Making life harder for them because of ideals that we believe that are birthed from the idea that they want to see people suffer. That's literally a lot of what this is. And I'm telling y'all right now, man, I'm trying to be one of the voices in this world that plants the seed that gives us something else to consider when just moving along with what the book tells you. If the book ain't telling you how to think for yourself, how to look at circumstances and provide scenarios and nuances where what it is that you believe does not apply, then it's not doing you a service of understanding the unfoldings of realities that would ultimately come your way when you think a certain way, blanketedly. This is what we do. If it ain't telling you that this is a scenario where it ain't what we do, and if you do it that way, things can go wrong, it's not something you should be following. Excluding nothing. A lot of these ideals that people believe in, built on lies, man. Lies created by people who wanted the people to suffer. That's it. Wanted people to be separate, so they, for their own interests. Not providing proper solutions for circumstances that could be possible later on, but just a blanketed, do this every time and we'll live with whatever happens when we do it that way. That leaves for so much suffering, man. So much unfairness, so much resentment. Either or thinking, black and white thinking, stupidity that the powers that be definitely need us to align with at all times and be on that frequency at all times. Either or and get back to what's shiny. No. That type of neglect gives birth to a great deal of suffering, man. And that's exactly what it is. It is mental neglect. It's intellectual neglect. And I'm going to plant the seed of us understanding that such a thing exists so that we can change the story on our lives. Let's change the story on our representation as people. When you start to realize that the powers that be are just a bunch of individuals that were not taught how to think for themselves, but are following something in a book that was likely written by a psychopath, then you understand the importance of your own free thought. Then you understand the importance of your own free thought. When a good portion of the stuff that's going on in this world, a lot of things that makes us function the way that we do, is controlled by people who believe that they're better than everyone else, and because of it, they can go about doing things that neglect all types of wisdom that you've learned in your life. And that they're making decisions on high based on that type of thinking. When you understand that, then you understand your responsibility to not allow yourself to be that way, nor align with what it is that they put together. That they are unwise entities with a lot of power, but everything that they're putting together is ultimately going to fall because of it. That's what this genocide has taught me. That the powers that be are religious extremists, liars, and people who walk around in a very serious denial. It's the exact truth. And that if you listen to what it is that they have in place that's teaching you how to think, you're just going to align with that for which makes them tick. So I'm telling everybody, man, anybody that listens to me, provide yourself the grace of nuance and representation of yourself that allows for you to leave room for things that you were not taught to leave room for in regards to blanketed ideologies. We are better than everyone else. And what does that give birth to? We are the chosen people. What does that give birth to? We are victims. Okay, yes, maybe you are, but now you need to stand up and do something about it. Staying in that space, what does that give birth to? The other side is the bad side, we're the good side. Okay, and what all is manipulated because of that? And if you never thought these type of thoughts in your life, you are part of the problem. You've catered to the problems. I'm just trying to get mine. I'm just trying to get money. You know how ignorant that is at this point? I guess just be honest. Do you have any idea how ignorant that is at this point? If all you're here to do is get money, do you have any idea how much of a problem you actually are for the future? If that's your only purpose. I'm so sick of hearing my people talk about that. In the music and everything. Oh, just get money. If it ain't about money, I ain't interested in it. God damn, go crawl in a grave somewhere, dude. Do us all a favor. Stop doing stuff that tumbles forward the suffering that comes from that bullshit. Make some use of yourself. You damn Zionists control the world and they're squeezing all of us by the balls while you sitting up here feeding into their nonsense by doing that exact same thing that they're doing. I'm just trying to get paid. Yeah, I know, they are too. Off the back of you and that type of stupidity right there. I ain't trying to reinvent the wheel. Yeah, that's exactly what they're counting on. You're not trying to reinvent the wheel. You're not disrupting anything. You're aligning with everything that ultimately is low class, low frequency, materialistic, superficial. They need all of those energies to exist in your brain so that they can continue to maintain their control and in the denial space that they often find themselves in, where they're the most important thing in the world. As long as you believe that there are things more important than the balance of things, then of course they can always control that. Selfishness is a cancer on this earth, no different than the Zionists themselves, man. And at this point in time, the more I pay attention to what I'm paying attention to in regards to this genocide, the more I see how complicit so many people are without even realizing it. Because they're too busy focused on whatever it is that they want, whatever makes them feel whatever way they want to feel, or whatever helps them cope with their existence, or whatever they got to do within their selfish ass brains. I just want mine, I'm going to give them, who cares what happened to them? Yeah, I know. But you can do us all a favor and go away so that that cannot be a problem for the rest of the world anymore. That's how I feel at this point. I'm telling y'all, man, it's more to it than just getting whatever you want and moving away however you want to move. Listen to people talk about ideology. I'm just trying to build the life I want. What about somebody else who don't have a possibility of self-determination? You're supposed to be a part of a crew that allows for all of us, to come together to find that self-determination. If you're only after your own, you're only determined to get your own, you're a part of the problem. That self-determination is not found in other people. It's because of entities like yourself who only interest in your own. You're a cancer. You're not helpful. You're a nuisance. A deterrent. And at some point in time, we got to start looking at people who do that, who act that way, who believe that way, who walk that way as such, and shame them for it. So we can put a band-aid on all of this suffering that's going on in this damn world. That's all I'm saying, man. At this point, I'm just asking the Lord to carry me forward, because I'm sick of this earth, bro. I am sick of this world. I ain't never been more sick of the world in my life. My needs are met for the most part. I'm gonna be cool regardless. I done lived 40 years, bro. And although that's not a lot of time in the grand scheme of things, I done did what I want to do. Now I'm trying to be a solution to something that comes after me. Not for my own self-exhaustion. Not because I'm chosen. Because that doesn't hold no weight in the grand scheme of things. Who gives a damn if you're the chosen one? Who gives a damn if your people are the chosen ones? What are you doing to be a solution to those the rest of us who are not chosen, quote unquote? How are you going to make life easy on the next generation who ain't even here yet? If your interest is not to do that, then you've been chosen to be a nuisance to overcome. That's literally all you've chosen to do. Despite what the book may be telling you. Video 44, I thank you all for watching. I'm out.